Character description. Samantha is a tech-savvy freelance writer who's always on the lookout for great deals online. Story. Brief. Samantha stumbles upon a suspicious Facebook group that sells items rumoured to bring bad luck to the buyers. Chapter 1. Samantha couldn't believe her eyes when she saw the post on Facebook advertising cursed objects for sale. Intrigued and a little frightened, she decided to investigate further. Samantha scrolled through the Facebook group, Black Market Curses, her heart racing with a mix of excitement and apprehension. The group boasted a variety of items purported to bring bad luck to their buyers, from antique mirrors with ominous reflections to haunted dolls with eyes that followed you. As a tech-savvy freelance writer always on the lookout for unique stories, Samantha couldn't resist the temptation to delve deeper into this mysterious underworld of cursed objects. She clicked on the link to the group's website and was immediately taken aback by the slick design and user-friendly interface. Curiosity piqued. Samantha reached out to the group's admin, a user named Shadow Seller, to inquire about the authenticity of the cursed items. To her surprise, Shadow Seller responded almost immediately, offering to meet in person to discuss a potential purchase. Nervous but determined, Samantha agreed to meet Shadow Seller at a rundown coffee shop in the heart of the city. As she sat at a dimly lit table anxiously sipping her latte, a tall, shadowy figure approached her. "Are you Samantha?" the figure asked in a deep, gravelly voice. "Yes, I am. Are you Shadow Seller?" Samantha replied, trying to hide her unease. The figure nodded, taking a seat across from her. "I have what you seek," he said cryptically, sliding a black velvet pouch across the table. With trembling hands, Samantha opened the pouch and gasped as she saw a small ornate pendant inside. "What is this?" she whispered, feeling a shiver run down her spine. "A cursed object," Shadow Seller replied, his voice now dripping with malice. "Are you brave enough to unleash its power?" Samantha's heart raced as she contemplated the implications of owning such a dangerous item. But the thrill of the unknown and the potential for a groundbreaking story pushed her to take a leap of faith. "I'll take it," she said, her voice surprisingly steady. As Shadow Seller smirked and accepted her payment, Samantha couldn't shake the feeling that she'd just embarked on a journey that would forever change her life. Little did she know, the cursed object in her possession was just the beginning of a harrowing adventure that would test her courage and resilience like never before. Chapter 2. Jack is a retired detective who now spends his days gardening and reading mystery novels. Story brief. Jack becomes involved in Samantha's investigation when he realizes the Facebook group may be linked to a series of unsolved murders in the area. Chapter 2. In a twist of fate, Jack crosses paths with Samantha at the local library while researching the history of the cursed objects. Intrigued by her findings, he offers to help her uncover the truth behind the mysterious Facebook group. As Jack flipped through an old book on local folklore, he felt a presence looming over him. He looked up to see Samantha standing there, her eyes bright with excitement. "Are you interested in the cursed objects too?" Samantha asked, breaking the silence. Jack nodded, intrigued by her knowledge on the subject. "I couldn't help but overhear your conversation earlier. I've come across similar stories in my time as a detective. It's fascinating how these objects can hold so much power." Samantha smiled, grateful for Jack's interest. "I've been digging deep into the history of these objects, trying to make sense of the strange occurrences happening in our town. Do you think there's a connection to the Facebook group?" Jack pondered for a moment before replying, "It's possible. I've seen cases where online platforms have been used to spread misinformation and manipulate people. Perhaps this group is using the cursed objects to their advantage." As they continued to discuss their theories, a man approached them with a curious look on his face. "Excuse me, I couldn't help but overhear your conversation. My name is Ethan, and I have some information that might interest you." Jack and Samantha exchanged a glance before turning their attention to Ethan. "What do you know?" Jack asked, intrigued by the man's sudden appearance. Ethan took a deep breath before divulging, "I used to be a member of the Facebook group. They promised me power and wealth if I followed their instructions. But then I witnessed something horrifying, a series of unsolved murders that seemed to be linked to the cursed objects they were promoting. Jack and Samantha exchanged a look of shock. Could the Facebook group really be involved in something so sinister? "We need to investigate this further," Samantha declared, her voice filled with determination. Jack nodded in agreement, grateful for the opportunity to put his detective skills to use once again. Together they set out to unravel the mysteries surrounding the cursed objects and the dangerous Facebook group that seemed to hold the key to it all. Chapter 3. Name of character Maria. Character description. Maria is a young entrepreneur who runs a successful online boutique selling handmade jewelry. Story brief. Maria unwittingly becomes a target of the Facebook market killers when she unknowingly purchases a cursed necklace from the group. Story genre, adventure thriller. Chapter 3. After purchasing the necklace, Maria starts experiencing strange and terrifying nightmares that seem to be connected to the cursed object. Desperate for answers, she reaches out to Samantha and Jack for help. As Maria lay in bed, restless and plagued by the vivid nightmares that had been haunting her since she purchased the cursed necklace, she knew she needed to seek help. Despite feeling hesitant to involve anyone else in her troubles, she couldn't shake the feeling that something sinister was at play. The next morning, Maria reached out to her friends Samantha and Jack, whom she trusted more than anyone. "Hey guys, can we meet up today? I really need your help with something," she messaged them, desperation evident in her words. Samantha, a bubbly and outgoing artist, replied almost immediately, "Of course, Maria. Is everything okay? Where do you want to meet?" Maria hesitated for a moment before typing out her response. "Let's meet at the Cozy Cafe on Main Street around 3 p.m. I'll explain everything then." Jack, a tech-savvy engineer and thrill-seeker, chimed in with his own message. "I'll be there too. Don't worry, we'll figure this out together." When Maria arrived at the cafe, her friends were already there, waiting for her at a corner table. Samantha greeted her with a warm hug, while Jack flashed her a reassuring smile. Maria took a deep breath before diving into the unsettling events of the past few days. "I don't know how to explain it, but ever since I bought this necklace from the Facebook market group, I've been having these horrible nightmares," Maria began, clutching the cursed object in her hands. "They feel so real, and I can't shake the feeling that it's somehow connected to this necklace." Samantha's eyes widened in concern while Jack leaned in closer to examine the necklace. "This is definitely not just any ordinary piece of jewelry, Maria. We need to figure out what's going on and how to break whatever curse is attached to it," Jack stated, his tone serious. The three friends huddled together, brainstorming ideas and researching potential solutions. Samantha suggested reaching out to a local mystic for guidance, while Jack mentioned using his engineering skills. As they discussed their plan of action, Maria felt a sense of relief wash over her. With Samantha and Jack by her side, she knew that together they could unravel the mystery of the cursed necklace and put an end to the nightmares that threatened to consume her. Chapter 4. Name of character David. Character description: who lives in a secluded cabin in the woods. Story brief. David's past involvement with the Facebook group comes to light when Samantha and Jack discover his connection to the cursed objects. Story genre: adventure drama. Chapter 4. Samantha and Jack track down David to his cabin in the woods, hoping he can provide them with valuable information about the group and its members. However, they soon realize that David may be hiding more than just his involvement with the market killers. The two friends followed the coordinates they received from the mysterious message they found on the cursed object. After a long and arduous journey through the dense woods, they finally arrived at David's secluded cabin. As they approached the cabin, Samantha and Jack could feel a sense of unease settling in. The cabin looked old and run down, with paint peeling off the walls and windows boarded up. They cautiously knocked on the door, unsure of what to expect. After a few moments, the door creaked open and a tall, lean man with dishevelled hair stood before them. "Can I help you?" he asked, his voice filled with suspicion. Samantha took a step forward. "Are you David?" she asked, trying to sound as friendly as possible. The man hesitated before nodding. "Yes, that's me. What do you want?" he replied, his eyes darting around nervously. "We're looking for answers," Jack spoke up. "We know about your involvement with the Facebook group and the cursed objects. We need to know more about them." David's eyes widened in surprise, then quickly narrowed in distrust. "How do you know about that?" he demanded, his tone becoming defensive. Samantha took a deep breath. "We found one of the cursed objects and received a message directing us to you. We need your help to stop whatever is happening with these objects." David rubbed his temples deep in thought. "I never meant for any of this to happen," he muttered. "I was just trying to make a living as an artist. But then things spiraled out of control." "We understand," Samantha said gently, "but we need your help to put an end to it. Can you tell us more about the group and its members?" David hesitated for a moment before nodding. "I'll tell you everything I know," he said, stepping aside to let them into his cabin. As they sat around the small table in the dimly lit cabin, David began to recount his experiences with the Facebook group. He revealed how he'd been approached by a mysterious figure who offered him money in exchange for creating the cursed objects. He explained how the group's members were using the objects for their own sinister purposes and how he had tried to distance himself from them. Samantha and Jack listened intently, taking notes and asking questions along the way. They were grateful for David's willingness to share his story, even though it was clear that he was haunted by guilt and regret. As the conversation went on, the sound of footsteps outside the cabin caught their attention. David's eyes widened in fear as he whispered, "They found me." Samantha and Jack exchanged worried glances, knowing that they were now facing a new threat. They would have to act quickly to protect themselves and uncover the truth behind the cursed objects before it was too late. Chapter 5. Name of character: Sarah. Character description: Sarah is a digital forensics expert who works for the local police department. Story brief: Sarah is brought in to analyze the digital footprint of the Facebook group and its members, leading to a shocking revelation about the true identity of the market killers. Story genre: adventure crime. Chapter 5. Sarah's investigation uncovers a web of deceit and betrayal, revealing that the market killers are not just random individuals selling cursed objects, but a well-organized criminal syndicate with deadly intentions. As Sarah delved deeper into the digital footprint of the Facebook group, she uncovered a complex web of connections that pointed to something much bigger than she had initially anticipated. The members of the group were not just random individuals selling cursed objects, but a well-organized criminal syndicate with deadly intentions. She sat in her office, surrounded by computer screens displaying lines of code and data. She had been working tirelessly, tracing the online activity of the group's members and piecing together their movements and communications. As she sifted through the information, a pattern began to emerge, leading her down a dark and ominous path. She picked up the phone and dialed a number, waiting for the person on the other end to pick up. "Hello, this is Sarah from the police department. I need to speak with you about the market killers case," she said, her voice steady and determined. On the other end, a voice responded, "This is Detective Reynolds. What have you found, Sarah?" "I've uncovered evidence that suggests the market killers are part of a larger criminal organization. They're not just selling cursed objects for profit, they're using them as tools for something much more sinister," Sarah explained, her heart racing with the gravity of her discovery. Detective Reynolds listened intently, absorbing the information Sarah had uncovered. "This changes everything. We need to act fast before more innocent lives are put at risk. Can you send me a detailed report of your findings?" he requested. Sarah nodded, even though he couldn't see her through the phone. "I'll have it on your desk by the end of the day. We need to get ahead of this before it's too late," she affirmed, her mind already racing with thoughts of the impending investigation. As she hung up the phone, Sarah turned back to her computer screens, determined to gather as much information as possible before presenting her findings to the rest of the team. The clock was ticking, and the stakes were higher than ever before. The revelation of the market killer's true identity sent shockwaves through the entire police department, and Sarah knew that the battle was far from over. With determination in her eyes, she knew that she had a crucial role to play in bringing the criminals to justice and putting an end to their deadly schemes once and for all. Chapter 6. Name of character: Luke. Character description: Luke is a rookie cop eager to prove himself in the field of law enforcement. Story brief: Luke's persistence leads him to uncover a crucial piece of evidence that could bring the market killers to justice. Story genre: adventure action. Chapter 6. Luke's determination to solve the case puts him in harm's way as he confronts the leaders of the criminal syndicate, risking his own life to bring them to justice. As Luke continued his investigation into the market killings, his determination grew stronger with each passing day. The pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place, and he knew he was getting closer to uncovering the truth behind the brutal murders. One day, as Luke was going through the evidence in his small, cluttered office, he stumbled upon a crucial piece of information that could finally crack the case wide open. It was a phone call log that revealed a series of conversations between the leaders of the criminal syndicate responsible for the killings. Excited by this discovery, Luke immediately called his partner Samantha to share the news. "Samantha, you won't believe what I found," Luke exclaimed over the phone. "I have evidence that directly links the market killings to the leaders of the syndicate. We need to act fast before they catch wind of what we know." Samantha, who had been skeptical of Luke's abilities in the past, was impressed by his breakthrough. "That's incredible, Luke. We need to take this information to the chief right away and get a warrant to bring these criminals in." Luke nodded determinedly. "Let's go see the chief right now. We can't waste any time." Together, Luke and Samantha drove to the police station and presented the evidence to Chief Reynolds. After reviewing the phone call log, Chief Reynolds gave the green light for a raid on the syndicate's headquarters. As they prepared for the raid, Luke could feel the adrenaline coursing through his veins. This was his chance to prove himself as a capable and dedicated officer of the law. The raid went smoothly at first, with Luke and Samantha making their way through the dark, dingy corridors of the syndicate's hideout. But as they reached the main room where the leaders were gathered, things took a dangerous turn. The leaders of the criminal syndicate, including a ruthless man named Victor, were armed and ready for a fight. Luke and Samantha found themselves surrounded, with guns pointed at their heads. "We knew you were getting too close, Luke," Victor sneered, "but we never expected you to be so foolish as to come here alone." Luke stood his ground, unwavering in the face of danger. "I'm not alone, Victor. I have the law and justice on my side. You and your cronies will pay for your crimes." As Victor raised his gun to fire, a shot rang out from behind him. Samantha had taken down one of the henchmen, giving Luke the opening he needed. In a split-second decision, Luke lunged forward and tackled Victor to the ground, disarming him in the process. With the leaders of the syndicate in handcuffs and the evidence to convict them in their possession, Luke and Samantha emerged victorious from the raid. As they stood outside the syndicate's hideout, catching their breath, Samantha turned to Luke with a newfound respect in her eyes. "I have to admit, Luke, you surprised me today. You have what it takes to be a great cop." Luke smiled, feeling a sense of pride and accomplishment wash over him. He had proven himself in the field of law enforcement, and he knew that this was just the beginning of many more adventures to come. Chapter 7. Name of character: Emily. Character description: Emily is a journalist who is always on the lookout for a big scoop. Story brief: Emily's investigation into the market killers takes a dangerous turn when she uncovers a link between the group and a high-profile politician. Story. Genre: adventure political thriller. Chapter 7. As Emily delves deeper into the story, she becomes a target of the market killers, who will stop at nothing to protect their secrets, even if it means taking innocent lives. As Emily continued her investigation into the market killers, she knew she was getting closer to uncovering the truth behind their activities. She had spent hours poring over documents, interviewing witnesses, and following the trail of bodies left in the wake of the group's ruthless attacks. One evening, as Emily sat at her desk in her small apartment, she received a mysterious phone call from an unknown number. Curious, she answered. "Hello?" Emily said cautiously. "Emily, it's me, Thomas," a familiar voice said on the other end of the line. Emily's heart skipped a beat. Thomas was a source she had worked with in the past, someone with insider information on the political landscape of the city. She had reached out to him recently to see if he knew anything about the market killers, but he had been reluctant to share any details. "Thomas, what do you know about the market killers?" Emily asked, her voice full of urgency. "I can't talk over the phone. Meet me at the usual spot in an hour," Thomas replied before hanging up abruptly. Excited and anxious, Emily quickly grabbed her notebook and headed out to meet Thomas. The two had a designated spot in a secluded park where they often met to exchange information, without the fear of being overheard. As Emily arrived at the park, she spotted Thomas sitting on a bench looking nervous. She approached him cautiously, unsure of what he was about to tell her. "Thomas, what do you know about the market killers?" Emily asked, getting straight to the point. Thomas hesitated for a moment before speaking. "I've heard whispers that the market killers have ties to a high-profile politician in the city, someone with a lot of power and influence." Emily's eyes widened in shock. If what Thomas was saying was true, this could blow the case wide open and expose a conspiracy that went far beyond what she had imagined. "Who is this politician?" Emily asked eagerly. Before Thomas could respond, a gunshot rang out, causing both of them to jump in fear. Emily looked around frantically, trying to spot where the shot had come from. "Run, Emily! They're on to us!" Thomas yelled, grabbing her arm and pulling her towards the safety of the trees. As they ran for cover, Emily's mind raced with possibilities. Who was trying to silence them? And what did this politician have to do with the market killers? As they reached the safety of the trees, Emily turned to Thomas, her heart pounding in her chest. "We need to get to the bottom of this, Thomas. We can't let them intimidate us into silence." Thomas nodded grimly, his eyes filled with determination. "I know someone who might have more information. We need to find him before it's too late." With that, Emily and Thomas set off on a dangerous journey to uncover the truth behind the market killers and their ties to the powerful politician. Little did they know, their investigation would lead them down a dangerous path of betrayal, deception, and deadly consequences. Chapter 8. Name of character Ryan, character description. Ryan is a skilled hacker who is hired by Samantha, Jack, and Sarah to infiltrate the Facebook group's encrypted communications. Story brief. Ryan's expertise uncovers a shocking plot by the market killers to unleash a deadly virus on the city's population. Story genre. Adventure techno-thriller. Chapter 8. With time running out, Ryan races against the clock to stop the virus from being deployed, putting his own life on the line in the process. As the clock ticked away, Ryan feverishly typed away at his laptop, his eyes narrowed in concentration. The encrypted messages from the market killers' Facebook group were proving to be a tough nut to crack, but he refused to give up. Sweat beaded on his forehead as he worked, the tension in the room palpable. Samantha, Jack, and Sarah watched anxiously as Ryan's fingers flew across the keyboard. They had put their faith in him to uncover the plot to release the deadly virus, and they knew time was running out. "Ryan, any luck yet?" Sarah asked, her voice tinged with worry. Ryan didn't look up from his screen as he replied, "I'm getting closer. These guys are good, but I'm better." He furrowed his brow in concentration, his mind racing a mile a minute. Suddenly a smile broke out on his face. "I've got it!" he exclaimed triumphantly. The others crowded around him as he explained what he had uncovered. The market killers planned to release the virus into the city's water supply, causing widespread panic and chaos. "We have to stop them," Jack said grimly. "But how?" Ryan stood up, determination blazing in his eyes. "I know where they're planning to deploy the virus. We need to get there fast." Without hesitation, he grabbed his jacket and headed for the door, the others following close behind. As they raced through the streets towards their destination, Ryan's mind raced with thoughts of the danger they were about to face. But he knew that they had to stop the market killers at all costs. Lives were at stake, and he was determined to do whatever it took to save his city. Finally, they arrived at the designated location, where they found the market killers preparing to release the deadly virus. Without hesitation, Ryan sprang into action, using his hacking skills to disable the device. The others stood by, ready to assist in any way they could. As the countdown on the device reached 0, a sense of relief washed over them. The virus had been stopped and the city was safe once again. Samantha, Jack, and Sarah gathered around Ryan, their gratitude shining in their eyes. "You saved us," Samantha said, her voice filled with emotion. Ryan smiled, a sense of satisfaction swelling within him. "We did it together. We make a great team." And as they stood there, united in their victory, they knew that they had a bond that could never be broken. Their adventure may have been over, but they knew that they would always be there for each other, no matter what challenges lay ahead. Chapter 9. Name of character: Tiffany. Character description: Tiffany is a former member of the Market Killers who has seen the error of her ways and now seeks redemption. Story brief. Tiffany's insider knowledge proves invaluable in helping Samantha, Jack, and the others bring down the criminal syndicate once and for all. Story genre: adventure redemption. Chapter 9. Tiffany's courage and sacrifice ultimately lead to the downfall of the Market Killers, but not without a heavy cost. Lives are lost, and the city is forever changed by the events that unfolded. Tiffany's heart raced as she crept through the dark alley, her footsteps silent as she moved closer to the meeting point. Samantha had sent her on a crucial mission, one that could finally bring an end to the Market Killers. The fate of the city rested on her shoulders, and Tiffany was determined to make things right. As she approached the abandoned warehouse, Tiffany could hear hushed voices coming from inside. She peered through a crack in the door, her eyes widening as she saw the familiar faces of the Market Killers gathered around a table discussing their latest scheme. Taking a deep breath, Tiffany stepped forward and pushed open the door, her presence causing the room to fall silent. The leader of the group, a ruthless man named Marcus, turned to face her with a sneer. "Well, well, if it isn't our little traitor," Marcus said, his voice dripping with malice. "What brings you back to us, Tiffany?" Tiffany stood tall, her eyes meeting Marcus's with steely determination. "I'm here to put an end to this madness," she declared, her voice unwavering. "I know all your secrets, Marcus, and I'm willing to use that knowledge to bring you down." Marcus laughed, his cronies joining in with mocking jeers. "You think you can take us down, girl? You're nothing but a lowlife like the rest of us. What makes you think you're any different?" Tiffany's jaw clenched as she fought to keep her emotions in check. She knew Marcus was right. In some ways she had once been just like them, ruthless and willing to do whatever it took to survive. But something had changed within her, a spark of humanity that refused to be extinguished. "I may have been a part of this at one point, but I refuse to let it define me," Tiffany said, her voice firm. "I want to make amends for the lives I've ruined, for the pain I've caused, and if that means taking you down, then so be it." Marcus's expression darkened, his hand reaching for the gun tucked in his waistband. But before he could make a move, Jack and Samantha burst into the room, guns drawn and ready for action. "You're surrounded, Marcus," Jack said, his voice calm but filled with authority. "Give up now, and maybe we can spare your sorry hide." Marcus hesitated, weighing his options as the room filled with tension. Tiffany held her breath, praying that Marcus would make the right choice. In the end, he chose poorly. With a snarl, Marcus lunged for his gun, but Tiffany was faster. She tackled him to the ground, their bodies slamming against the cold concrete floor. Jack and Samantha moved in quickly, disarming the other members of the Market Killers and securing them in handcuffs. As the dust settled, Tiffany stood up, breathing heavily but victorious. The Market Killers had been defeated, their reign of terror finally coming to an end. But the victory came at a heavy cost. Lives had been lost, both on the side of the criminals and the brave officers who had fought to bring them down. The city would never be the same, scarred by the violence and corruption that had plagued it for so long. But as Tiffany looked around at her friends, their faces filled with pride and gratitude, she knew that it had all been worth it. She'd found redemption in the most unlikely of places, and she was determined to make the most of her second chance. As they walked out of the warehouse, the sun setting on the horizon, Tiffany felt a sense of peace wash over her. The past was behind her, and the future was filled with possibilities. And she knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, she would face them with courage and determination, ready to fight for the justice and redemption that she now believed in with all her heart. Chapter 10. Name of character, the unknown. Character description. A mysterious figure whose true identity remains a mystery throughout the story. Story brief. The unknown's role in the events surrounding the market killers is finally revealed, shedding light on the motives behind the deadly scheme. Story genre, adventure suspense. Chapter 10. In a shocking twist of fate, the unknown turns out to be someone unexpected, leaving Samantha, Jack and the others reeling from the revelation. The story ends on a somber note as they come to terms with the tragic consequences of their pursuit of justice. The tension in the room was palpable as Samantha, Jack and their small band of allies stared at the figure before them. The hooded cloak that had always concealed the unknown's identity now lay discarded on the ground, revealing the face of someone they never would have suspected. "Wait, it can't be," Samantha gasped, her eyes wide with shock. You're one of us? How could you do this?" The unknown, now known as Michael, looked down at the ground in shame, unable to meet the accusing gazes of his former friends. "I never meant for things to go this far," he muttered, his voice barely above a whisper. "I was just trying to uncover the truth behind what happened to my sister." Jack stepped forward, his fists clenched at his sides. "Your sister was one of the victims of the market killers?" he asked, his voice filled with a mix of anger and pity. Michael nodded. "She was just a market vendor trying to make an honest living. When she was killed in that brutal attack, I knew I had to do something. I never imagined that my quest for justice would lead to all this death and destruction." Samantha took a deep breath, trying to calm the storm of emotions raging inside her. "Michael, you have to understand that what you did was wrong. Innocent people lost their lives because of your actions. We were just trying to stop the killers, not become them." Michael hung his head in shame, tears glistening in his eyes. I know. I have to live with that guilt for the rest of my life. But please, you have to believe me when I say that I never wanted any of this to happen. I just wanted to avenge my sister's death." As the realization of the truth sunk in, Samantha felt a wave of sorrow wash over her. Michael was not the cold-blooded killer they had all feared, but a grieving brother driven to desperate measures by his loss. The weight of the revelation settled heavily on her shoulders, leaving her feeling drained and defeated. In the end, justice had been served, but at a heavy cost. The market killers were no more, but the scars they left behind would never truly heal. And as Samantha, Jack and their allies reflected on the tragic events that had unfolded, they knew that the road to redemption would be a long and challenging one for them all.